I'm back! Hey everyone, I'm Matt Ford and welcome to the Good Trouble Show. As you may have noticed, I've been away for quite some time as my mother passed away recently. This is, needless to say, it's been a really an enormously difficult time for me, my family, and I want to thank everyone, each and every one of you, for your kind words, your thoughts, replies to tweets, DMs, even got a really kind message from a debunker that does another show, and it was quite genuine, and I really appreciate it. And anyway, my heart has really been warmed by everyone's response. And my advice to everyone watching this show, those of you that still have both of your parents or one of your parents, is to call them every day and let them know how much you love them. Get off of your cell phone scrolling around or on YouTube or X, but pick up the phone, call them, visit them, spend time with them. Ask them the questions only they can answer. Maybe your mom knows some family history that you would love to know about, or your dad, but really spend time with them. And I think a lot of times in this topic, sort of pursuing this UAP topic, it's easy to kind of become hyper-focused and lose focus on a lot of the things in life that matter. I know that I certainly have not been the best at that. But I want to thank all of you for your kind words. Now, my mother, she was a fighter. Growing up, I remember her telling me to always stand up for what is right. She used to say to me, "Give 'em hell, Harry." I remember her telling me that, I think, as early as 9 years old. And she would always say, "Never be afraid to go to the mat. Stand up to bullies and cowards." And that is what today's show is about. Bullies that are targeting 3 individuals who have served this country with distinction. Targeting these individuals by defaming or removing the Wikipedia pages of these public figures. Today, trial attorney Todd McMurtry will join us to discuss the potential legal remedies for public figures whose Wikipedia pages have been a target of these attacks. But first, hit the subscribe and thumbs up buttons on YouTube. Leave a comment and let us know what you think about this episode. You can also find us on X at Good Trouble Show and everywhere else at The Good Trouble Show. You can also find us wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Search for The Good Trouble Show with Matt Ford. And if you want to chip in to keep the lights on, we always appreciate that. You can become a Patreon member of The Good Trouble Show by going to www.patreon.com/The Good Trouble Show. Sign up and you can support this awesome show. Super chats are always open and a great way to lend your financial support. All of that allows us to bring you excellent guests like we have today. Now, on with the show. So who are these folks that have been targeted on Wikipedia, and how have they been targeted? These are public figures who have served this nation with distinction. These are individuals that are highly, highly accomplished, and I'm going to read you some of their bios. This is a bio about Harald Malmgren. This is actually taken out of his obituary. He passed away early in the summer. Ambassador Dr. Harald B. Malmgren of Warrenton, Virginia, a distinguished economist, diplomat, and advisor to U.S. presidents. Harald was a man of exceptional intellect and integrity, whose work shaped global economic policies and influenced international trade relations. He served as a senior advisor to Presidents John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, and Gerald Ford. This guy was clearly no slouch. He clearly was a brilliant man. Unfortunately, I did not have the pleasure of ever meeting him or interviewing him. But this man lived a full life. Another person who was recently targeted, Pippa Malmgren. This is actually Harald Malmgren's daughter. Pippa Malmgren, an economist, author, and economic advisor to President George W. Bush. Pippa Malmgren is known for her expertise in global financial markets and geopolitics. She served President George W. Bush in the White House as special assistant to the president on the National Economic Council. After 9/11, she was also responsible for assessing terrorism risks to the economy and technology as a source of geopolitical competitiveness. Malmgren is the author of 5 books, including Geopolitics for Investors and The Leadership Lab. Her most recent bestseller, The Infinite Leader, won International Press Award for the best book on leadership. Again, another individual that has served this country with distinction. It's clearly a brilliant woman, another victim of what we're going to talk about. Finally, Chris Mellon, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for about a year or so. He's been on the Good Trouble Show. Who is Chris Mellon? Chris Mellon spent nearly 20 years in the U.S. intelligence community, to include serving as the Minority Staff Director of the Senate Intelligence Committee and the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence under Presidents Clinton and Bush. This is, someone that has served this country. He has taught at Georgetown University, authored over a dozen articles on public policy issues, and received numerous awards, including the National Reconnaissance Office Gold Medal, the DIA Director's Medal, and the Secretary of Defense Exceptional Public Service Award, the highest award that can be bestowed on a Department of Defense civilian by the Secretary of Defense. Chris has worked hard the last few years to draw attention to the fact that the U.S. intelligence community has failed to alert senior officials that large numbers of unidentified aircraft are violating restricted U.S. airspace on a recurring basis. Now, earlier today, I was alerted that all 3 of these individuals' Wikipedia pages were submitted for deletion. Now, Malmgren's page late last night, as you can see here, the bulk of Harald Malmgren's page was deleted. Not the entire page, but just look at the volume of what was originally on his page, completely removed. I want you to take a look at the mountain of information that was deleted by this debunker editing on Wikipedia. This is what is at the top of his daughter and former presidential economic advisor Pippa Malmgren's page. And hours before large portions of Harald Malmgren's page were deleted, the Wikipedia page of former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence Christopher Mellon was completely deleted. The entire Wikipedia page that he has had on here, on Wikipedia, talking about everything he has done for this country, was completely deleted. And get this, Chris Mellon comes from the Mellon family, a very famous family. They have their own Wikipedia page. Well, guess what this debunker Wikipedia editor did? He completely erased any reference to Christopher Mellon on his own family's Wikipedia page. It's insane. How vindictive is that? Now, who deleted it? I'll tell you. An anonymous Wikipedia editor by the name of Chetsford is targeting their pages due to their advocacy for UFO UAP transparency. That's right. This guy or girl, whoever this is, this Chetsford, is vindictively targeting these 3 individuals simply because they are pushing for UAP transparency from the government. That's it. That's the only reason this person is doing it. Not for any altruistic reason. He or she is doing it out of spite. And now you may be asking yourself, so how can this happen? How can these people get away with this on Wikipedia? The truth of the matter is that they are all part of an organized network of Wikipedia editors dedicated to hijacking Wikipedia pages to push their worldview. One such group is the Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia, a nonprofit based out of Salinas, California, led by its founder, Susan Gerbic. Now, what do the Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia do? This is Susan in her own words.
So I run a Wikipedia editing group, and it's an international group of approximately 150 people. We're located on Facebook in a secret group called The Secret Cabal. Because these are private groups or secret groups, you can't join them. I have to allow you, and I have admins that will allow you to join the group. But we check you out because we don't want to allow, somebody in who's, infiltration. Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's where we spend a lot of our time. But we've worked on pages on UFOs and spontaneous human combustion and all kinds of different topics that are pseudoscience or misinformation. Wikipedia is the single most important tool in the skeptical toolbox that we have. But we keep track of all the Wikipedia pages that we have made a massive rewrite to or have written. And we are now at 1,230 pages, and we keep track of how many page views those 1,230 pages have, and we're at 51 million page views, over 51 million page views. Homeopathy, we've changed that page drastically. The lead, the very, very first couple sentences of the page, which most people is the only thing they read, we've used the word quackery. I mean, that's so awesome.
I am so proud of these people and the other 100. I have 113 people, and I'm always looking to recruit and require more.
How in the world do people still support this woman? We even have on here her conviction, her legal conviction. Here, if you click on...
For a gold investment scheme.
Yeah, we have it so you can actually go and see where she's a convicted felon. So when people say she's a convicted felon, we're like, go to Wikipedia. There it is.
In the last week, those 500 pages have created, in the last week, 215,742 page views. In the last month, 1,563,493 page views. And in the whole time that these page views have existed, these pages we've written, the GSOW project has written those 500 pages, and those page views are now at 19,063,934 page views. So if you want to be part of the solution...
Unbelievable. Now, you may be wondering, how prolific is this organized effort? For instance, the Guerrilla Skeptics. The Guerrilla Skeptics alone consist of over 200 editors that have edited over 2,000 Wikipedia pages that they consider pseudoscience. So it could be anything from chiropractic to homeopathy, to UFOs, UAPs, to Bigfoot, to ghosts, to massage, anything that they consider pseudoscience. What they do is they train up a group of editors, and this is probably happening with other organized skeptic groups. They recruit people that are interested in editing on Wikipedia. They teach them how to edit. Wikipedia has a very sort of a strict set of rules that you have to learn. You can't really just kind of go in there and edit successfully. The other thing is that Wikipedia editing is based on seniority. So if you are a Wikipedia editor that's, say, been editing since, 5, 6, 7 years ago, you're going to have higher seniority than somebody that is brand new to Wikipedia. So let's say you edit a page on Christopher Mellon, and you are this Chetsford individual who's done this for a number of years. Well, here comes a new Wikipedia editor or a junior Wikipedia editor that looks at what Chetsford has done and said, you know what, this is bullshit. This is trashing this guy's page. Well, this Wikipedia editor goes on this, what they call a talk page, and has a conversation. It's kind of like a chat that's recorded with this senior Wikipedia editor. Well, these senior Wikipedia editors because they have seniority, basically can boot out what this junior editor is doing. Oftentimes what happens is if this junior editor comes along and is trying to do the right thing, these Wikipedia editors, this organized group of debunkers, they have the seniority to ban from Wikipedia that individual from ever editing Wikipedia ever again. That's how they control it. Another way they control it is if they see someone up and coming, someone that they know that is going to be in the news, they create the page from the beginning. Susan Gerbic of the Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia did that for Lou Elizondo when Lou first came on the scene. Now, why did she do it? She did it so she can exert control over his page. Now, why are they doing this with Wikipedia? The thing to keep in mind is Wikipedia is one of the top 10 most trafficked websites in the world. I know at one point it was showing like the 7th most trafficked website in the world. So if you are someone that is, say, interested in UAP, UFOs, and you're not on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, or Reddit, and you're not following any of it, and you want to know what is up with this UAP thing that I keep hearing Congress is doing something about. Most people will go to Wikipedia and they will look it up. Now, what happens is these guerrilla skeptics and other organized groups, they write the Wikipedia page in such a way that it promotes the debunker point of view. They stated, as you heard, that the first, I think it's, couple 3 sentences they know are the most important. So they will take a Wikipedia page and they will rewrite it if it's already been written, and they will throw a bunch of editors on it. They will perfect it. They will edit this thing offline, manipulate it so it pushes the debunking skeptical point of view. They will change the wording such that if you were to look at these pages, you would think, wow, this sounds like a bunch of BS, or maybe Lou Elizondo is full of you-know-what. They cleverly use sort of charged words and innuendo to skew the pages, so that anyone that is brand new to this sort of thing, or anything for that matter, again, it could be chiropractic. They'll go on there and they'll read it and they'll go, wow, I don't want to go see a chiropractor. On homeopathy, Susan Gerbic crowed that they managed to get the word quackery approved on the Wikipedia page when they edited the Wikipedia page for homeopathy. So it's not only things like UFOs, UAPs, which we like to talk about on the show. This is what they do. Now, if you go and you look at government whistleblower David Grush, look at his page. You scroll through here and it talks about all sorts of stuff, but then you scroll down to a section called Responses from Relevant Experts. And it is paragraph upon paragraph upon paragraph of skeptics. These are all skeptics. These are all debunkers. These are people that go out of their way and spend oodles of time on something that they don't even believe is true. Now, you have to ask yourself, why would these individuals spend so much time on something that they just don't believe in? It makes no sense. And they talk about these folks as relevant experts. Experts they are not. They are propagandists. Not only do the guerrilla skeptics of Wikipedia and other outfits like that target pages such as UAP, UFOs, or anything that they consider pseudoscience, they also rewrite or write from scratch the pages of their own. In other words, they're fellow debunkers. McWest, UFO debunker. Susan Gerbic, her folks wrote his Wikipedia page. Now you may be asking yourself, well, why would these debunkers be writing other debunkers' pages? Because they know that any, say, like segment producer from CNN or ABC News or whatever, let's say that segment producer wants to interview a UFO skeptic McWest. They're going to make damn sure that McWest's Wikipedia page is in tip-top shape. It psychologically does what they want. These folks, they take care of their own. Folks, this is propaganda. This is information warfare. They want to tell you how to think. They want to control the narrative. They want people to go to Wikipedia and not know the whole picture. Now, we don't know if this editor, Chetsford, is related to the Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia, but it wouldn't be surprising. We've seen this type of thing from the Guerrilla Skeptics editors before. Now, you may be asking yourself, are these editing efforts, are they altruistic? Is there any sort of, perhaps, good intentions behind this? Well, a window into that is a little known thing in Wikipedia called talk pages. These things, they exist on the Wikipedia page itself. So you have the front-facing page, which of course is what everyone sees. But when these pages are up for editing or deletion, there's a little section called the talk page. And this page is kind of like, I don't know, like a group chat or something, but it's, the messages don't disappear. So the Wikipedia editors, they engage in discussions amongst each other with other editors on these talk pages. And these pages can give you a window into these editors' true motives. And I want to read some of that. I think this will give you some idea as to this Chetsford individual, if they're up to no good or they just are doing what they think is right. So let's look at the talk page for Harald Malmgren. Again, this is from this Chetsford individual. The late Harald Malmgren has catapulted to awareness in the wild corners of the internet populated by UFO enthusiasts due to his wacky claims about marauding space aliens. He was a minor staffer in the JFK administration and later worked as a financial advisor, though UFO enthusiasts on social media have recently reimagined him as the man who saved the world from nuclear apocalypse during the Cuban Missile Crisis, based apparently on Malmgren's claims of having beaten Curtis LeMay in a staring contest. Let's see, it goes on, large segments, he or she, large segments containing illustrious assertions about his educational pedigree and globe-trotting accomplishments are totally unreferenced. The Daily Mail and News Nation, which we have proscribed from using as a source for any coverage touching the topic of UFOs under UFO Nation, is what these folks call News Nation. It's, You read this, you hear the snarkiness, you hear the sarcasm. Let's look at Pippa Malmgren. Pippa Malmgren, the economist and former presidential advisor. Let's see what the talk page says from her, about her. Again, this is this Chetsford individual. Not a single piece of WP SICGov, I have no idea what that abbreviation is for, in this vanity piece. I'm speculating based on the licensing of the Sears glamour shot in the info box. Finds nothing either. Does not presume notability for the minor post of special assistant. The only other possible claim are apparently self-nominated persons who pay a $100 registration fee. Again, listening to this Wikipedia editor, this debunker, it's clear that this person does not have altruistic reasons. Let's move on now finally to Christopher Mellon. Christopher Mellon. News Nation is not usable as a source. Mellon served briefly, it appears less than 2 years, as a deputy assistant secretary in the Pentagon. While sub-cabinet officers often get benefit of the doubt for WP:(N), under WP, I don't know what this means, we have never extended that all the way down to lowly rank of deputy assistant secretary, which is below assistant secretary, undersecretary, deputy secretary, and secretary. There are more than 100 DAs, I don't know what that means, in U.S. Government at any point. Again, it's obvious that this Wikipedia editor is just foaming at the mouth of just sarcasm and wanting to play down Christopher Mellon's accomplishments. You know, look this guy up on LinkedIn. Look at his CV and see what he has done in his life and for this country. It's absolutely disgusting what these folks are up to. But you have to ask yourself, are these editors hobbyists, just kind of occasionally getting on or editing on Wikipedia? The data shows that they are anything but hobbyists. Now, certainly some are, but let's take a look at the stats for this Chetsford character. These are the administrative stats for user Chetsford. Chetsford has made 41,127 edits plus deleted 43,780. Chetsford has deleted 154 pages. So I wonder if that 154 includes Chris Mellon's. He's protected 390 pages, which means that a lot of times these debunker editors, they will go and lock a page down to make sure nobody can mess with it. I actually think Lou Elizondo's page is locked down. Blocked 14 users, and get this, user rights modified 150. In other words, Wikipedia editors that Chetsford doesn't like what they're doing, which is probably trying to do the right thing. This guy, he goes and, or girl, don't know if it's a guy or girl, modified what they can do on Wikipedia. Now, how much time does Chetsford spend debunking and sort of vandalizing all these Wikipedia pages? Let's look at Chetsford's Wikipedia time card. Now, you look at this, and what this says to me, and the bigger the dots, the larger the number of posts per hour, per day. But what this says to me is Chetsford, this is like a full-time job. This guy or girl is either unemployed and has nothing better to do, or is likely being compensated for this. This is like a 40, 50-hour-a-week job. In UTC time, you can see that Chetsford cranks up at 8 a.m. like a job, and ends at about 2:30 p.m. I'm sorry, no, I take that back. It starts at 8 a.m., goes until up until midnight, editing away on Wikipedia, and then does even more at midnight and shuts down about 4. So literally, UTC time from 8 a.m. until 2 a.m., this Chetsford debunker is editing Wikipedia. Now, you cannot tell me that person or persons, it could be more than one that is doing this, a paid professional. This is not any kind of hobbyist. I can tell you that. This looks like a paid full-time job. So the question is there anything legally that these public figures can do about the targeting of their public Wikipedia? I can't talk. I'm getting tongue-tied. Their public Wikipedia pages. Joining us, again, all tongue-tied today. Joining us, one of them is one of America's premier trial attorneys. He has represented numerous public figures in defamation cases, including a member of a royal family. Please welcome trial attorney Todd McMurtry. Todd, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Matt. How are you?
Great. Thanks for joining us. I know this was on a really short notice. Now, you are one of the most prominent trial attorneys in America, and we just covered in the program what has happened to these three individuals on Wikipedia. What is your reaction to this?
Well, I've noticed I've had a number of people contact me over the years about Wikipedia and about manipulation of their pages, and it's an interesting process on how editors are able to go in and capture certain people's profiles. And I've noticed this primarily in the space of conservative figures. But now, thanks to you and some others, it's come to my attention that people involved in the UAP space are also suffering from this manipulation by editors or groups of editors.
Okay, I want to read you a message that I received from another attorney who has also been looking into this and sort of what is happening to these folks. And I'm curious if you agree with this individual's take. This person said, by the way, this attorney said, by the way, this is calculated in some ways. The reason they are all of a sudden pushing to delete the pages instead of manipulate or edit the text is because they avoid libel by eliminating the page and assume no risk by trying to rewrite the narrative of a living person. This is clearly by design so they don't get sued and dragged into a deposition where their identities are revealed and they are put under oath. They won on these issues previously, but they are carefully calculating the fact that one day they could lose, and it only takes one good court ruling to blow that open. So easier to just try and erase the person. Your reaction?
That's entirely possible. I mean, that would make sense. If I were the attorney representing people who were engaged in active disinformation, I would say you either need to stop or you need to correct everything and make sure that it's accurate and truthful and that the opinions are based upon disclosed facts. So yes, I think that's completely legitimate take on what might be going on.
I understand that defamation is almost impossible to win in court, and you have a legal approach that would address this, which we're going to get into in a few minutes. But why is defamation so difficult to win in a court of law?
So defamation, if you're a public figure, and the people that the common names, and whether it's government, whether it's politics, whether it's UAP, there are people that everyone knows who they are, and they achieve this status of public figure. And when you're a public figure, you can become a target for defamatory comments. But the only way to hold the other side liable for those defamatory comments is to meet the standard that's called actual malice, and it's a constitutional standard, part of the First Amendment. And it says that if you're going to call somebody, say that they're a fraud or that they're a liar or that they're a thief, if you're going to say those things, to hold the person who said them liable, you have to show that they acted with actual malice, which means that they knew or recklessly disregarded the truth and made the false statement anyway. And a lot of what you see in the UAP area, are slander terms, that somebody's involved in a conspiracy, or that somebody's, lying, or that they're, a disinformation agent, all these different things that people use to attack public figures in the UAP space. They're probably defamatory, but you have to say, are they knowingly lying? And then the other defense that's available in the defamation action is called opinion. And an opinion is, I think so-and-so is a bad person, or here are these four facts. Based upon these four facts, I think this person is a liar. And then you're protected. They're saying, well, that's just your opinion. And that's what everybody says. Everywhere you go, it's like, well, that's just your opinion. That's my opinion. So I'm allowed to say almost whatever I want. I think that's wrong, but that's what the law is. And, just yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, Sarah Palin had a lawsuit that had gone all the way to trial against the New York Times, and a jury ruled against her, finding that the New York Times did not engage in actual malice for reporting about her conduct in relation to the Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, not Tulsi Gabbard, but there's a Congresswoman out in the Southwest. I'm forgetting her name, but she was shot, and then the New York Times ran a hit piece on Sarah Palin that intimated that Sarah Palin's politics led to the radicalized shooter, and she lost that case because you couldn't prove that they knew they were lying and that they were not being factual.
Now, in this case, for instance, Christopher Mellon's entire Wikipedia page was scrubbed from Wikipedia, as well as references or his name on, for instance, the Mellon family Wikipedia page. Is the removal of the Wikipedia page of a public figure, is that defamatory in and of itself?
It's not necessarily defamatory, but it's part of a larger scheme that these editors have taken to delegitimize people in the UAP field, people who are coming forth and trying to be a whistleblower or just explain how things work in government. And a person like Christopher Mellon is basically has an unimpeachable character. There's not much, you can't, he just has an unimpeachable character. He's got a very high level of credibility based upon his personal history and his governmental service. So he is one of the most authoritative people in this field, just based upon who he is. So when somebody's that has that level of character, the only thing you can do is try to eliminate them. It's like Soviet era situation where Stalin would take the pictures of people that were in disfavor out of the official photographs, and that's what we have here. So is it actionable? Yeah, I think there are ways that something like this could be actionable. And Matt, as you know, there's some researchers out there that have done some deep dives on these editors and organizations of editors in the working with Wikipedia, and how they intentionally delegitimize, defame, cast in a false light so many people that are involved in the UAP space. And it's an organized effort. So what I think it is, and I think Christopher Mellon, this action with Christopher Mellon falls in the same category. It's a civil RICO, and that is a racketeering, influence, and corrupt organizations situation. In civil RICO, basically what it requires is the existence of an enterprise. So in this circumstance, the enterprise is the relationship between Wikipedia and the editors who are suppressing and suppressing true facts and creating disinformation. There has to be a pattern. And of course, you and I have talked to these researchers, and we know that there's a significant pattern of these people capturing these pages and then intentionally casting the individuals in a false light. And so there is a pattern. It's happened again and again. There's participation. The editors and Google are participating in the undertaking, and this participation has to cause an injury. And the injury here is reputational injury primarily. There could be some other injury to business or property in some circumstances. And so that is what, those are the basics of what civil RICO is. And, I do think that exists here. I think that there's a viable case against Wikipedia and against the editors who have captured these pages. And just so you know, I've talked to, in my practice, we do a lot of analysis of how people's characters injured. And so we have people that will, scrub the internet and find all the negative references, find out how many times those references have been repeated, and put a monetary award or a monetary figure associated with that reputational damage. And they're also familiar with how Wikipedia works. And what we had them look at a very prominent person's profile page, and they're like, man, that thing is locked down. You cannot get to it. Right. And so even influential people, or not influential, but people who are capable in a business setting cannot get to any of these pages, because there's a group of people that have control of them and that manipulate them in a way to create known disinformation, to discredit and to undermine the credibility and the character of people who are in the UAP space. And we all know who these names are. It's all the top names, all the top people. They are systematically being delegitimized and attacked by these editors. And I would assume, with Wikipedia's knowledge, Wikipedia has to know that there are people that capture these pages. So yeah, right. That's what I think.
Well, and as you mentioned, it's these editors. So one of the issues, of course, is that these editors hide behind anonymity. You've got their screen names, but that is it. Could a RICO lawsuit compel Wikipedia to disclose the identity of those editors during the discovery process?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can get to that information. Social media companies and tech companies are notoriously difficult, or that they resist subpoenas. But I think if you brought the lawsuit, you could definitely get that type of information, and then join those editors and the people that are anonymously delegitimizing and defaming prominent people in the UAP space. You could get the names and then add them to the lawsuit.
Now, we have spoken before, you and I have chatted before, I think we started chatting about a year ago, and we talked about Susan Gerbic and her group, the Guerrilla Skeptics. It's a 501c3 run out of Salinas, California, called About Time. And their systematic targeting of Wikipedia pages, and they literally have targeted, rewritten, or whatnot around 2,000 of these things. And my question is, would an organization like hers, this About Time project, would they be liable as well?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to defame Susan Gerbic or that organization on this show, but
Sure.
the investigation that I've undertaken and others, or that they've informed me of, indicates that there are organizations like that are that could be liable as well, because we know that they are behind this effort to delegitimize, defame, and cast prominent people in a false light.
And she has also bragged that she is legally protected from damages. In a RICO case, would someone that, like, we'll just say theoretically, runs an organization that does a sort of coordinated Wikipedia targeting, page targeting, would they be protected, like Susan, or even like Jimmy Wales personally? Can they hide behind sort of a corporate veil if they're running a nonprofit, protecting themselves from damages?
Yeah, that's a good question. Basically, the way it works is if you're the president of a company, and you are out in driving in your car, and you accidentally run a red light and injure somebody, that's your company's liability. That's not necessarily your personal liability. But if you do something, even if you're operating under the shield of the corporation, where you are speeding, say, or drunk driving, then you would be personally liable. So if a person who is an officer or an employee of a company commits an independent tort, and that would be, in my example, drunk driving or speeding, then they can be held personally liable. If they're merely negligent, maybe they're not liable. And there are some subtleties in how that works. So let's say that you're a person who runs an organization that systematically delegitimizes, defames, and casts prominent people in a false light, and you do so knowingly. That's not an appropriate business purpose, to surreptitiously gain control of Wikipedia pages and delegitimize people on the internet. So I would think that there is a chance for personal liability for individuals who are engaged in this process of delegitimizing people of otherwise good character.
Todd, have you seen any indication that these Wikipedia editors or these organizations that run these Wikipedia editor groups, do you have any indication or have heard any evidence or potential evidence that these folks are being funded by some outside entity?
I have looked at some of the tax statements, and if you looked at those, you might interpret that they are getting funded from an unknown third party. It's not clear where the money comes from, and generally you're not required to disclose who your donors are. If you're a public charity, you don't have to disclose that information. But you never know. So it's something to find out in litigation, I think.
In a RICO case, what are the legal remedies? What sort of damages could a defendant potentially expect?
So you can get your actual damages, which would be reputational harm, harm to business or property. You could then have those damages tripled, so they call it treble damages. And so you could get, if you had $1 million in damages, they would give you $3 million in damages. So they would triple those damages. And then on top of that, there is an ability to recover attorney's fees expended in the process. So it's a hammer for sure. But like so many things, RICO, anytime you get involved in these big lawsuits, these companies have the most powerful, huge law firms in the country, and so it's a big fight. It's a taxing, serious fight, a legal fight, and but it's a significant undertaking to try to do something like that, especially when you're dealing with a behemoth, tech company that basically has unlimited resources. And, in fact, there'd probably be volunteer law firms that would show up to, protect their First Amendment rights or whatever, whatever disguise or lie they want to use to mislead, people about what they're actually doing. What they're actually doing is controlling a narrative and creating a false narrative. And then all these people who do this type of thing, they all then say, well, it's just the truth and the First Amendment. And it's like, no, you have a corrupt purpose, and it's not just the First Amendment. The First Amendment is not designed to protect a lie, right? It's not designed to do that. And a person's reputation shouldn't be destroyed through lies, and the law should be able to protect people, and does in many circumstances.
And I'm guessing, of course, that this would be pretty expensive to litigate. What would be the best way to fund? Say if a bunch of folks wanted to hire you as a class action suit in this, what would be the best way to fund this, do you think?
Well, this type of activity is normally covered by what you would call a public interest law firm. So there are, all different types, religious, political, and law firms in the city of Washington, D.C., staffed with talented lawyers, and they will litigate on behalf of the public interest. That doesn't really exist for people involved in the UAP space. So what you would need to do is either find a generous donor who could, underwrite such litigation, and then also ask people who are involved to donate to a legal fund, and a legal fund could then be used to pay attorneys to pursue this. And that's pretty much what public interest law firms do. And, this would just be a way of having the public interest of transparency, legitimacy, and truth related to people who are involved in the UAP field. You would try to have that, and the way you would do that is through, legal protections and legal actions against organizations such as Wikipedia that are either knowingly or unknowingly facilitating this disinformation.
And as I understand it, there is really sort of no way individuals or organizations can protect themselves or from these sorts of attacks on Wikipedia. In other words, I can't go and edit my Wikipedia page or delete stuff. Is that how you understand it as well?
Right. Many people try to do that, and then the editors come back in and re-edit out the or re-edit back in the disinformation and the narrative, the false narrative that they're trying to create.
And with all of this said, with everything that we've seen that has gone on in the past couple of days, and of course this long history of this sort of targeted disinformation campaign or propaganda campaign, really, in my opinion, with all of that said, what would your message be right now to any editors or organizations that are engaged in this type of behavior?
Stop generating disinformation, stop creating false narratives, state the truth in Wikipedia, serve the purpose of Wikipedia. The purpose is that these editors are in good faith trying to get to the bottom of things and provide truth and truthful updates on information for those who are by the people and the topics in Wikipedia. And I would also assume that, or I would also suggest that they understand that they may be personally liable or corporately liable for their misconduct to the extent that can be proven. And as you and I have discussed, we've seen a lot of bad things out there, a lot of bad facts about this manipulation and about, either taking down a profile or, telling lies about people or casting people in a false light. That's when you use true facts, but you manipulate them in a way to create a false narrative. And so I think hopefully that, whether it's this instance or in the future, that somebody's able to discipline the editors who are creating the false narratives and hold them to account, and hopefully clean that up so Wikipedia can meet its intended purpose of being truthful about what it writes.
Well, Todd, thank you so much for joining us. How can victims of this sort of coordinated attacks, these coordinated attacks on Wikipedia, how can folks reach out to you for your legal help?
I'm pretty easy to find. Just Google my name, Todd McMurtry, and I'll show up. My law firm has a web page and an ability to contact me right from that web page. So yeah, I'd be happy to chat with people if they want to call.
Fantastic. Well, Todd, thank you so much for your time. I know this was very last minute and you're very busy, but we appreciate you coming on our show. Todd McMurtry, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. That was an incredibly eye-opening interview. It brings me hope. It brings me hope that legally these people can be held to account. Look, none of this is right. None of this is right. This is a giant propaganda outfit. As Todd McMurtry said, records indicate, and I think this would be for the 501c3, the Center for Inquiry, based out of Amherst, New York. A couple years ago, they had more than $5 million in revenue come in. And as Todd said, and I don't know if he was talking about CFI, but a lot of these organizations, it looks like when you look at their IRS tax filings, that they are receiving money from overseas. Probably money from CIA cutouts would be my guess. But this is not right. This flies in the face of everything democracy stands for. It is immature. It is vindictive. You go and you read what this individual says in the talk pages. And let me tell you something else. A lot of these debunkers that do this on Wikipedia, they go and they try and hide their talk pages. There's a way of kind of burying them that if you do not know how to find them, most people can't find them. Well, let me tell you, investigator Rob Heatherly, who has been on the show 3 times and has been investigating the Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia and others for well over 3 years, who's put in literally tens of thousands of hours, he has found all of those talk pages. And let me tell you, I've read them, and they are damning. Any trial attorney that goes and looks at the buried talk pages for any individual that was targeted by these groups on Wikipedia, I guarantee you will have a case. I guarantee you they will have a defamation case. And moreover, I'm not a lawyer, but I would freaking bet my house on it, when Todd McMurtry or any other high-powered attorney goes and looks at the literal thousands of pages of evidence investigator Rob Heatherly has collected of this large group of Wikipedia editors, the majority of which are from the Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia. When an attorney goes and looks at what was said on these talk pages, there will be zero doubt that the purpose behind these edits was to defame. Zero doubt. There will be zero doubt that there has been racketeering and collusion. I guarantee it. This cannot continue. This has been going on far too long. People that have gone to the mat for this country, people like whistleblower David Grush, people like former intelligence official Lou Elizondo, people like Christopher Mellon, people like Pippa Malmgren, people like her dad, Harald Malmgren, all of these folks that have served this country with distinction, all of these folks that have put country before themselves, this is the kind of bullshit that they have to endure. Dr. Hal Puthoff, a scientist that has served this country on oodles of classified programs, they have vandalized his page. You go and you look at Dr. Puthoff's page, it is filled with edits from these debunkers. Dr. Puthoff went in himself to try and correct it, even correct dates of scientific papers that he has written. And guess what? These debunkers These editors, such as the Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia, they have such seniority, they can kick his edits out. So no matter what Dr. Hal Puthoff does, he can't do a thing to fix it. Lou Elizondo cannot go in and fix his biographical information because Susan Gerbic has it locked down. This is the information warfare that they are engaging in. And this has to stop. And it has to stop in one of two ways. It has to stop by everyone banding together and people that have the money to do this to fund a class action RICO lawsuit against these individuals and organizations and against the Wikimedia Foundation and the co-owner of Wikipedia. They need to sue them in a civil RICO case for racketeering. The second thing that must happen, members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, you have to step up to the plate and do something about this. This cannot legally be allowed to happen. We can't just be in a position where people need to cough up 200 grand, 500 grand to right this wrong. There needs to be congressional legislation that puts an end to this information warfare that is occurring on Wikipedia, because you cannot trust Wikipedia. Wikipedia is weaponized. Members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, you can change this. You can write bipartisan legislation that prevents this, stops all of this from happening, because it's running rampant. Millions, I think it was over 2 million edits that the Guerrilla Skeptics of Wikipedia have successfully made on that platform. And my sources tell me that the co-founder of Wikipedia is well aware of the Guerrilla Skeptics and what these debunkers are doing. I don't think that these folks are amateurs. At least the organizations are not. There's no way that these people are spending this amount of time on essentially a full-time job and not getting paid by somebody from either a foreign government or our own. We need to look into that. Congress needs to pass legislation. There must be policy change. There must be a RICO lawsuit. Folks, if you enjoyed today's show, again, thank you for tuning in. We would really appreciate it if you would hit the thumbs up and subscribe button, leave a comment, tell your friends about our show. And again, we take our show about a week after we air this and put it on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Tell your friends about us, and we will have new great interviews coming up for you in the coming weeks on The Good Trouble Show.